Welcome back everyone to YTCSE, YouTube's Celtic Supporters Club. I'm joined by Woody Allen and Eric Cantona tonight.
Bonjour, Eric.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
A stressful day
Sorry,
in the courts and that with my wife. Have a custody battle. But thanks for having us on, Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good to see you
Thanks,
both.
Mark. Yep. Great to be here.
Good. Listen, we were just having a wee chat there about Ross Doohan and the signings and stuff. I wanted to, we can talk about that in a wee second while we wait for people to join, but I think I'd like to talk a wee bit more about Brendan today, because I think we've made quite a few videos, and the videos have all been about, I don't know how many people we've actually mentioned that we're going to sign, and we've signed Ross Doohan from that big list of players. What do you think of the Ross Doohan signing? Bang.
Me personally, I don't mind it, mate. He's a backup. It's obviously going to be Schmeichel, Sinisalo, not Bain. I'm not used to saying Bain. Doohan. So hopefully, because he's younger and hopefully gets a more opportunities in the cups and stuff, and we'd like to see him because, yeah, as we mentioned, he's a Scottish keeper. There's no many of them about, mate, for a national team as well as Celtic. So, interesting young guy, knows the club. He was very happy on his Instagram post. He's buzzing to be back. So if a player's happy to be there, then I'll support him.
And what do you think of his interview? Was just, were you going to say Eric there?
I was going to say, I was willing for Eric to have his €2 in.
I was just
No,
going
I
to say
think
his
it's-
interview.
I think it's superb.
Did you watch it? Did you watch the interview?
I watched a wee bit of the interview, and it's going to create a wee bit of competition, hopefully healthy competition. I think he's 27, 28. He's been with the club. In the interview, he just says he feels like being back home. So he's got the club at heart, which is a real good thing in my opinion, because he's going to make sure he kind of fights for his place in that competition, because Schmeichel's only going to be here for another season. And again, as Brian says there, if he's going to put these guys in to compete for the number 2 role while Schmeichel's there, it's healthy competition, I feel.
I think it'll be more competition, which is good, because what I liked about his interview was, I'm going to come and fight for a place. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to come and fight for a place to actually, instead of, like we were saying before we started, they call it the best paid job in football, is the number 3 at a football club, because you sit in your backside, do nothing and get paid. Do you know what I mean? But I liked his interview, and he said he was going to come and have a wee go and see if he could get into the team. We've got some balmy Rangers fan who's spamming the chat. See these people, man? No, they've got no life, no clue. Just fuck off, man. Honestly, fuck off.
Evolution will sort them out. He'll get knocked down
exactly.
sometime, whatever. Karma will sort them out. But,
You're
I didn't know he was 27. Aye.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is 27, then that's probably his mindset. You know what I mean? I'm 27. I'm a prime in my career. I want to come and fight for a place. So it'd be good. It's obviously going to improve the other keepers that we've got.
Aye, agreed.
No, I agree. Absolutely.
It's not the world signing that you've been waiting on, right? But I liked as well. I liked Celtic gave him his place. You could have just whipped him in the back door, do you know what I mean, and just slipped under the carpet. They've actually come in, done a proper interview, gave him his place. I like that. So, like I said, I'd like to focus on Brendan Rodgers in this one, if that's all right, because we've done quite a bit on the transfers. We can come on to the transfers if you guys have got some stuff up your sleeve, right? Which is cool. But for me, this is an interesting year. We've had Brendan back now for 2 years. Signed a 3-year deal. He has got 1 year left. He said he would do his 3 years, so he's sticking to his word. I know last year he said like 200% going to finish this year, so that's brilliant. Well done. My question is, first of all, will he extend? Do any of you think that he will sign another contract? No?
Me personally, I think, if anything, he'll not do what he's done the last time, because he's got a legacy to build here, and his legacy is Europe. So if he enhances what he done last year in Europe, and he brings in some decent signings to make sure that he gets another title, or even, I'm going to just say it, another treble, because that's the expectation now. But I feel that after this year's finished, as a backup, he'll maybe go into a rolling contract, a 12-month rolling contract, to say, if somebody comes in, I've done my time, and then he can do whatever he wants after that.
Aye. How about you, Brian?
I've, I don't know, but you know, on the face of it, he's underachieved the past 2 seasons he's been here. His standard as a treble, he's no achieved it in two. So I'm not trying to diss him, but as a man, he has an ego and he wants to be the best. So I think he will stay and he will go hell for leather for another treble. But I don't think he'll extend over it the 3 years. It would take something special on the contract side of things, because he'd probably want to go back to England again. But I'll leave him with respect if he does. You know what I mean? He's came back 3 years, done better for us in Europe. So, but I don't think he'll sign.
I heard in a previous interview, in these two spells, that's what, 2.5, 3, 4, that's nearly 5, 6 years. Like, that's a long time for a Celtic manager. And I think in the back of his mind, that's why he wants to try and say, look, I've done my second spell, I've came back, I've told you I would be here 3 years, I've done 3 years. I don't know if he's going to go into a rolling contract after that, because let me ask you, Mark, during at what point in this season, if somebody comes in from to say, well, if says I'm going to stay, for how long? Is it going to be three games left of the season and he's in a semi-final of a cup? Where at what point will he depart if he's going to go somewhere else?
Well, mate, that was actually was leading on to my next question. You're reading my notes here. Don't know how you've done that, right? But I'm thinking, if it's another question, right? If he doesn't sign a contract, does it cause unrest? Did you watch? You know the Trinity Tims podcast, Trinity Tims on. They're good.
Yeah, I've seen it before. I've not seen the
three
latest
guys
one.
that sit and have a chat, an Irish boy and a couple of Scottish boys, and they're quite intelligent and have a good conversation. They jumped the gun with me on this because I wanted to do this last week and couldn't make it, and then I've come on the other day and they've done it. And one of the things they were talking about is, if he doesn't sign a contract, will it start to cause not unnecessary drama, but will it be a sideshow that Celtic don't need? He's not signing a contract. Why is he not signing a contract? And then it becomes a thing the Celtic fans are constantly talking about. So for me, I would want him to sign a contract. Will he sign a contract? I think it will be. I don't think it's to be do with a treble, Robert, if I'm honest with you. I don't think it's domestic. I think he has to be backed again. So I'm of the opinion Celtic backed him last year. The money they gave him, I think the board backed him. They gave him 9 million for Ida and 11 million for Engels, right? That's a shitload of money, and we don't normally do that. I think they've done it. I think they need to do it again this year. Some fans don't like his signings and think he's wasted money, but I think it's all to do with the Champions League. I think if Celtic, the board, back him and bring in another maybe 3 quality signings, 3-4 quality signings, and we have a real good crack at Europe. We don't let like Maida and all of that go, and we go and have a real good crack at Europe. I think that's one of the only things that will make him think, actually, let me put pen to paper here. If you're willing to spend the kind of money I want to spend, and the kind of player that I want to buy, and give me the opportunity to go and prove myself in Europe. Because let's be honest, this is the only year he's had any kind of run. Every other time we've been pumped, I think 5-6-7-0. So to me, he's evolved a wee bit. There's another thing I was going to come on to, right? He evolved last year. That 7-1 hammering was the best thing for Brendan Rodgers, in my opinion. Brian, you always say something about him, and it always sticks with me. He's got an ego, and it makes sense to me. He has got a very big ego. I think if we can, he's taken a step back with that for the 7-1, and he's gave us a really good run in Europe. I was really happy with that. I think if we give him enough money to go and do what he wants to do, and he has another good run in Europe, I think that's the only thing that will make him put pen to paper again.
Interesting, because he's definitely improved in Europe. I I don't see how much, what is his expectations in terms of if you back me, because he's been backed, you know what I mean? But he'll obviously want more. But from the board's point of view, they'll want more as well. We want to win that, that knockout, not that knockout tournament. Show me that. It's a bit of brinksmanship. But in terms of what you're saying about does it cause a sideshow, 100%. It's the media that will create that sideshow, or Willie Wotty, or what's happening. It's all rumour mills, and not a lot of it is true, but it keeps the oxygen, it keeps the focus away from the team. So yeah, I think definitive either no. You're signing, brilliant. If you're no, you're no. Move on.
So then that's a good point that Robert made then. So when is it good for Celtic fans to know? So does he come out and say halfway through the season, look, I'm not signing another contract, and then the fans know at least they've got their place right and they've said, look, you've came back, you've done exactly what you said you're going to do, you've had 3 years, you've had 3 good seasons? Or does he wait to the end of the season and then a sharp harp out the door? Mm-hmm. What would you prefer?
Me personally, I would like him to do it, especially the way Ange done it, because see with Ange, you knew he says he was going to come back bigger and better, and then he done his second season, and then see after the second season, he never alluded to anything to say that something was happening the next season. So see then during this season, if he doesn't, if nothing happens, I think it'll just dwindle away, and then, as Brian says there, he's done his 3 seasons, but he's definitely made inroads in Europe. But time will tell this season.
Yeah, you'd probably be interested to find, because club will sit down with a player with a year left in his contract, so they'll probably have already sat down with Brendan and says maybe that's why he's saying I'll 200% be here next year, because he's already told the board he's 0% being there the year after. So maybe that negotiations have already been there, which allows the board to succession plan, you know what I mean, who's coming in. Is John Kennedy ever going to get a shot? You know what I mean, the guy's worked under about, you've said that before, yeah. Mark, loads of times.
I'm just going to point out, Bulldog just had a wee mention there and says he just needs to be honest, and I think that's key. I think if he's honest with the board and honest with the fans, gives the board enough time to go and find a new manager, then he's done what he said he was going to do. But that's a brilliant point, Brian, and it's a lot of people won't agree with me here, right? But John Kennedy has been at Celtic for so long. Look at the managers he's been under. If Celtic had any kind of brains, they would have been training this guy up. They would have been taking everything from Ange. They would have been taking everything from Brendan Rodgers. They've been taking everything from every manager that we've had, all of the good things, and getting that guy and giving him a chance. Because you're talking about all of these, we go to lots of players, lots of clubs will go to Germany and bring in these young managers and they'll go everywhere. Why not? Why not a young Scottish manager? Why not somebody who's been at Celtic, knows Celtic inside out, and gets the best out of Brendan Rodgers? And we'll talk about his tactics in a wee minute, because that's another thing I want to talk about, right? But gets what Ange Postecoglou had and what Ange Postecoglou brought, which was that fucking attack, you know? Like the husband lines, just go.
It's the Celtic way. They always say, play football the Celtic way.
Aye. Mm-hmm. Why not have somebody, if they'd any brains, they would have been teaching this guy, like, this is what you want to play like, this is where you want to go with it, and then you just breed him in, man.
If you go to John Kennedy's LinkedIn profile, he has the full array of UEFA licenses. He's got the A licence, the Pro licence, so and you don't just get given them, he needs to go through the course and the coaching on it. So he's done the work, you know what I mean? But whether he's getting
shot down for this, we'll definitely get shot down for this, because most Celtic fans will be like, but this is just our opinion, my opinion anyway. I've just sucked.
I agree with you. I'm an old romantic, you know what I mean? I want us to have loads of young players that came from Glasgow. It doesn't happen that way, but if you can get a young Scottish manager at the helm that's played for Celtic, look at Neil Lennon, alright, he wasn't a youth product, manager, player, captain, manager all the way through. Love Lennon, absolute legend, and I'd love Kennedy to be the same, but maybe he's not that guy. He likes to be a number 2. Steve Clark was for often enough, you know what I mean? So, might take a bit of time.
Can I play devil's advocate here a wee bit? Yeah. When you've got an elite manager, and he is an elite manager because he's proven that he's He's brought us success in 2 spells.
I'll let you finish and then I'll.
In my opinion, there's a bar set there. Because let's not kid ourselves, the man's won trophies for us. The man has won trophies for us. So if that bar's been there, is John Kennedy at the same bar then?
I know, but when you're talking about an elite manager, right? I'm going to send you my notes after this, mate. I swear to God, right? Because that is another one. Is Brendan Rodgers the elite manager that we're talking about? That's a pure setup. It's not a setup, honestly. It's not. Honestly, I've not sent him the notes. Is Brendan Rodgers an elite manager? Right. My point to this is, and you've touched on a couple of things, Robert. He's won his hundreds of trophies. He should be winning his hundreds of trophies. Mm-hmm. You're playing against a non-league Rangers team half the time. You've got budgets that are, I don't know, 20, 30 times more than the other teams in Scotland. We should be going and winning, right?
It's your bread and butter, you're still going to go out there.
He's been shite in Europe, mate, until this season. Or that season there, he's not done well.
But the format suited us last season.
Yeah. So for me, is he an elite manager? I think an elite manager is a manager who, yes, you win your trophies domestically, but you go and you absolutely smash it in Europe. You can. I think he's changing, and that was a point I made to Brian and you guys earlier on. He went, that 7-1 defeat was probably a very good thing for him, because he sat, maybe in my mind, he sat back and thought, I can't do this again, man. Aye, we can't have Celtic getting battered 6-7-0, and he changed his tactics, and that's how it went the rest of the campaign. I think he could be an elite manager. I don't think he is. I don't think he is yet. That's just my opinion.
An elite manager is somebody that is skilled in sports anyways. It's somebody that wins trophies, successful at coaching and all that, so he ticks the boxes there. Are we talking elite manager like Ancelotti and stuff like that, a legendary manager? No.
I'm only talking about what you were saying, right?
If you're looking at a bunch of managers and you go, which of yous have won championships, you identify that way. He is an elite manager in terms of, there's not many people out there.
That's my gauge. That's my gauge domestically.
Maybe the terminology elite.
Maybe an elite manager in Scotland.
Aye, totally. He
wasn't an elite manager in England. He nearly won that was a nearly. He never won the Premier League, nearly. And then he got relegated with Leicester. For me, that's not elite. I think he's a very, very, very good manager. Which, Brian, you're going to say something?
No, not at all. I just felt maybe a wee bit harsh in terms of the England side of it's his English achievements.
No, I'm intentionally being harsh, because that's what I'm talking about. For me, an elite manager wins everywhere he is, and he didn't do that. He won the cup, fair enough. He won the cup in England, but didn't win with Liverpool. Look at that Liverpool team he had, man. Look at the money he had to spend. Didn't win it, and then he's get relegated with Leicester. That's just my opinion, right? I think he's a phenomenal manager, right? I love the guy.
He's had promotions as well.
So in that sense, is Jose Mourinho no longer an elite manager?
To me, no longer an elite manager. I don't think he's anywhere near it.
So I get where you're coming from now. He was, but he's obviously faded away. He's went to different, but people still treat him as an elite manager.
I'd have been happy for him to go to Rangers, mate. That's how much of a manager I think
he's still treated as an elite manager, because any decent job he's always mentioned.
Because he's profile.
Yeah. He's a journeyman now, I think, Mourinho. He's like a journeyman manager. Just
Jorge Mendes is his agent. He's also Ronaldo's agent, he's got the most, that's what it comes to. That guy's he's an elite agent, you know what I mean? He's an elite negotiator.
He's an elite agent.
Guy, man.
I agree with you there, mate. I agree with you there. Right, my next point then on Brendan, right, and it
I was going to say, which Mark's next point.
Honestly, mate, it's on the top. It's on the lips of every Celtic fan, right? His tactics. So we've got an elite manager to some, a good manager to others, right? Who plays in Scotland. His problem is he plays against the low block every week, right? Or every second week, whatever it is, most every week, right? And it's very, very hard to break down. He's got the budget, I don't know, 10 times. I don't know what our budget is compared to theirs, right? We have got the style of football, and he consistently talks about it, right? we moan about it. It's too much side to side. It goes that back three, will go back, keeper, left back, and it's that, or it's right across the middle, right, and it's boring. And his first time at Celtic, I remember his first time at Celtic before it came to an end, people were pissed off, man. People were just like that. I remember going to Celtic games and sitting like that. This is fucking boring. It's boring watching it. And sometimes last season it got to that point. So one thing I'm going to ask is, right, is that on him? Because he always comes out and talks about the speed of play, right, and how direct we are, and we need to be faster, and we need to... Is that on him as a manager to actually make his tactics work? And if you come at half time and they've been really slow, and they come out and they're really slow the second half, is that his fault? Or would you...
Me personally, sorry mate, I wouldn't. It's the old, once you cross the white line cliche, you know what I mean? Because if you're in half time or the team talk saying, like Cameron and Carter Vickers for instance, 1-2 passes, no more, and then he starts dawdling about the place, you can shout and ball at him all you want over there, but if he's not going to willing to whatever, obviously he's the manager, the elite manager, the top manager that's instilled that, and you want to run through brick walls for him, so you would think the players would take his instructions on there, but it's ultimately the players. I think when his first 2 seasons phenomenal. Before he left, it's not just a case of that. Teams got used to it. Teams sussed you out. Steven Gerrard took 9 months, I think, or maybe a season, or a season and a half, or what, to suss them out. And then when we lost from there, when Brendan Rodgers left to them winning 55, they kind of dominated the derby. But teams find out. But hopefully we'll see how the Tierney introduction changes things. He might be working on a different style of play. Me personally, I'm an old romantic 3-5-2 Martin O'Neill man. Wing backs, big guys up front, but those days are gone. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we line up with the changes to the team.
Yeah. We've got McLaughlin on. Evening, McLaughlin. Thank you very much for joining and comments. McLaughlin's just agreeing, Robert, what you're saying. The draw was very kind to Celtic, and it was very kind to Celtic. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. And yes, I agree. I hope it is just as kind again. And then your other point is he's a very good British manager. Maybe the top 3, but he's not what I call a Ferguson, Ancelotti, Guardiola class. I agree with that.
Is Guardiola no longer an elite manager now?
No. I think you need to be. For me, you need to be a period of downtime for you not.
I was only being
slap to me.
Robert steals your notes. I'm just dissing all your comments. Aye.
Okay, right. So let's get back to the point we were making there, right? So Brendan, this is where my head goes with it, right? Because I get his tactics and I get what he talks about, right? And I get you need to switch the angle of play, right? We do it so slow that it makes no difference. We do it maybe like you're talking about Cameron Carter Vickers. Sometimes I think he is the catalyst for us to be dead slow. He will take 7, 8, 9, 10 touches and he dawdles out with the ball, right? And that's the catalyst for the boys to then be really, really slow. Whereas Scales, on the other hand, he maybe just a wee bit of the opposite. He's like bombs it and he's a bit fast. Do you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Scales is very similar to Ayer, because I remember when my dad used to go to the games, he used to call Ayer the galloping major, because as soon as he got the ball, he would take it in a run, and you think by the centre half, the centre circle, and then into the other half, you think, where's he gone here? Where is it? Like, and he would maybe a couple of dribbles, but I don't know if that's CCV's game or what the message is that he's been told.
That is my point, Robert, mate. You've made it perfectly right. If that's CCV's game, Brendan should be telling him not to do that, because that's not how you need to play that system, and that's not what he talks about in his interviews. You need to get the ball fast forward faster. Naroki does it brilliant. Naroki, they passes through the lines Naroki is phenomenal. I don't know if Brendan Rodgers just doesn't like that guy, right? But CCV does the opposite. He's really, really slow with the ball coming out, and then it's left to right. Sometimes you'll get the ball out. I think Scales is alright at breaking the lines. I think he's a bit of a bomb scare when he's pressing really high and really hard and really fast. Too high maybe. But I think he's alright at that. So, Is it then the players' fault? Are we saying that the players aren't picking up his instructions properly and carrying them out properly?
Is it their technical ability?
I don't know, but there's... Sorry, Brian.
No, not at all. Crack on.
I was just going to say, you see in games where we destroy teams. Look at the Leipzig game, right? I know that's in Europe and they came out and they were attacking us, right? Fair and fair. But there's times in Scotland where we destroy teams because you can see it. You can see the guys are up for it, right? You can see that first touch. And if it is going across for Alistair Johnson right across to Taylor, it's like first touch pass, and it's everybody's on it, and it's either one touch and pass quickly or they're on the first touch. See, when you start all of that, I'm going to take 2, 3, 4 touches and look about, and there's no move in the middle. I don't know, it's like the chicken and the egg for me. Is it Brendan Rodgers' fault because he's not strong enough in getting the message across properly, or is it the players' fault because they just can't be asked, because that's what it looks like half the time, because they know how to play it and they can do it?
I would, just going on last season, I would say the players, because there was how many times were changes at half time, and like the St Johnstone game away, or there was another game, I don't know if it was Aberdeen or whatever, he was like, that was the angriest I've ever been in my life. You know what I mean? Right. Because they're obviously no listening to him. So there could be an element of that, but to echo your point about Nawrocki, he was brilliant. But do you, is Brendan thinking, I sacrifice the balls through the line for the strength, because Nawrocki maybe gets a wee bit bullied, but CCV's a tank, you know what I mean? So does he go for that one? But totally agree with you. And also, when you look at the Greg Taylor side of things as well, he's not a doon, so he cuts in back, and that sometimes clogs up the kind of midfield and stuff. But so I don't know. I think maybe his first season, it was him just being blindly arrogant. I'm just doing it. This is how we play, and possession-based football works. And then it gets sussed out, and then he had to bolt. But I think he's learning now. So I think it's more about because you see when he brought in Forrest at the tail end of his first season back, we were, that was just the catalyst. We just looked a far better team. They were more like his first spell. But yeah,
why do you think that was, mate?
Well, in the I don't know. I think
Forrest came back at the end of the season when he done that. What do you think changed?
I think he internally might have just told the players that this is how it's going to go. You know what I mean? This is how I want to play. He brought in his trusted lieutenants, players that he could trust. He maybe pulled them aside and went, "This is what I need of you. I need you to do this.
I like Forrest.
That guy.
See Forrest.
And I think
see the end of that season there, his first season. Seen the last 12 to 13 games. Forrest changed the league for us, and a lot of people think Forrest is done. He's been at the club over 12, 13 years. I like Forrest. I just think, as Brian says, it's your tried and tested. The opinions out that I read sometimes with James Forrest, I think he gets a hard crack. I think he gets a hard... I like him. And a man who commits himself to one club since early stages in the academy, for me, he's there. Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah. Aye, and it's like Bulldog has just said here, it's about hunger and desire, right? It needs to be 100% all the time. That to me is Forrest. He's direct. What I like about James Forrest is, and you're right, Robert, he gets so much criticism, man, all the time. He never gives the ball away. Never. Very rarely will he pass the ball away.
He only goes forward. He only goes forward. And he's not scared
to... One thing in mind is attacking.
Beat a player, go to the line and trying to assist. I like him.
Yeah.
When you're talking about tactics and formations there, do you guys see, and again, even with the guys listening there, please comment, but the difference between Brendan Rodgers' first spell to this, do you see a massive difference?
No.
I see a massive difference in what we just mentioned there, hunger, desire and stuff. Bulldog mentioned, you might get a hunger and desire 100% out of Callum McGregor and James Forrest and Liam Scales because his eyes or whatever, but you won't get it out of Kuhn, you won't get it out of Yang. You could tell these guys 100% these are the tactics, but if they're checked out mentally, you can see Kuhn sometimes is just, if you're struggling with these players, then you're going to struggle to implement your tactics.
I think
that's a difference, but I think we've got a better rounded squad then you strip back. Remember under, I'm trying to remember back what the subs were like when Brendan's first season, man. I think we're a better overall squad, and I think we're more tactically astute as a club and as a squad. In terms of game management.
I think we've got a better squad, mate. I do. I totally agree with that, but I don't see much difference in the tactics. I think it's very similar. He plays the same same style. It is clever at times. You watch it and see when we've got it and we do it well. It is clever and it's very hard to beat. But I don't think we, as a team, we don't do it often enough. And I think you're right, Brian. Players like Kuhn, who I don't know if he just looks uninterested, and then because we've seen players like that over the years where you're thinking that boy's not interested, but then we were saying that about Kyogo, and Kyogo wasn't actually interested. He had chucked it. But I agree. I think we've got a much better squad, a better team of players. But honestly, I don't see much difference in the tactics for his first and the second year. What do you think, Robert?
I can see what he's trying to do in comparison. The first spell, as you guys alluded to, it was pedestrian. There was no doubt about it. It was pedestrian. But I think now that he's come back and he's trying to be refreshed, revigorated, he's got a second bite at the cherry. It's like the prodigal son. He's came back and his legacy is Europe, and domestically, I think he feels he's always going to be there or thereabouts, if no, as you said earlier, we've not a challenge. But I think he's got an idea, but whether it comes across to these players, who knows?
It's up to him to bring the players in.
If you look at his, I know we still say it's the same tactics. I don't agree. If you look at his first squad, we would never have went to Italy and been disciplined enough to get a 0-0 draw.
Not in Europe, mate. That's different. Let me clarify that. I don't mean in Europe. I'm talking about in Scotland.
Yes, in his first spell, I think we're getting a wee bit clouded by how we remember him leaving. His first, we only just broke the record for the most goals scored on a season. It was done under Brendan Rodgers. His first two seasons were phenomenal for me. All right, Europe, yeah, because he stuck to that. But after the last season, when he left, that's when it kind of fell down because they were getting used to the style of play. But the first two seasons, I thought they were phenomenal. In terms of the play we won, invincible, etc. That's just me personally, but I think it's different. It wasn't inverted under his first thing. He didn't involve that.
That's what I was just going to say.
Everybody was like, "Oh, how's he going to adapt?" Because Ange likes this and that. And first, at certain points at the start of last season, the football the team were playing was better than Ange, 100%.
Aye.
Smashing teams. So you tend to find it might be to do with personnel in the dressing room. Are they happy? Are they fighting? Couldn't get a sore teeth. All these factors can influence you having your top squad, I think. What do you think?
Yeah. I remember before he left, the football was honking. It was boring. It was boring, man. I know you're saying we were invincible as we won by all these goals. Look at the clubs he'd playing against. Rangers were just come out for the 4th division, man. They were shite. I get what you're saying, and he didn't have the inverted, and he's brought that in and done it well. But I'm not dissing him, right? Because I think the man is a very, very, very good manager. I think his tactics are good when they work. My problem with him is it's the end of that. In fact, it was halfway through his first season, Brian. You were laughing nearly every day at me. I'm like, you need to get rid of him, man. You need to sack this guy. He's so bad because the football was so bad. I jumped the gun. I just jumped. I was like, I was in the water.
If you've came back with Dermot Desmond saying blah 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 blah, and then you get handed Marco Tilio, Yang, Kwon, whatever, you could be Ancelotti, Arrigo Sacchi, or these elite managers that I mentioned earlier on. But I don't want to be rude, but you can only pee with a beep you've got. You know what I mean? So. I understand, but then when he switched it around and he started to get a tune at these players, it was brilliant. You know what I mean? So
that's another thing then with the players, right? So this will be his 3rd season. He's had money to spend, and if he gets money to spend again this year, will we do well in Europe? If we get a tougher draw, let's say we don't get this super kind draw. Do you think we'll have the same impact in Europe as we did if he actually uses his brain and plays that? Doesn't he attack all the time? Plays a wee bit more defensively minded. What do you think of that,
Robert?
Me personally, I think again it's a hard question because these players that you want in and you think should be in various positions we need to strengthen. Again, they're not in the door yet. But in your own head, you're thinking to yourself, the new format suits us, and if we can just tweak a few positions, get the right players in. I'm an optimistic guy. I don't see any reason why that we can't. Where did we finish the last time? 12th? Was that 16? Where did we?
I think so, aye. No, I think it may have been it was the 18th or whatever, but regardless of new format or no, or players we've got, I will always fancy Celtic to win a game at home. And
100%.
So you've got 4 games at home, 4 games away. If you get a kind draw, you can hopefully...
What's the worst scenario? 2 defeats and 2 draws away?
Exactly. You've seen some...
2 defeats and 2 draws is not the worst scenario, mate. The worst scenario is 4 defeats.
Well, 8 defeats.
But again, positively.
I know what that's not what you said. Positively, you said, what's the worst scenario?
2 wins and 2 draws. No, the worst scenario.
That's positive. That's like half.
Zero.
Laugh is half full.
0 points.
Look at the smile. Look at the wee smiles. Like.
Eric's been on the French wine early.
Absolutely.
Cantona with the Celtic tap on. So just to finish up on Rodgers, right, and then you boys might want to talk. I don't know if you want to talk transfers. I think Brian, you want to talk Sean Maloney.
Aye, well, he's came back to the club, mate. He's replaced Darren O'Dea, who went to Swansea. Good opportunity for Darren O'Dea. He's part of the management team. So Sean Maloney's come back as it's kind of youth development, but they've got a fancy kind of woke name for it, pathway manager or whatever. So hopefully does well. Sean Maloney, ex-player, hopefully does well, and he's got great experience. He's worked under Martinez at Belgium and all that, so he'll have some interesting things to see. Sorry, mate. It was just that. It was just to say welcome back, Sean. Good to see you come back to the club.
Good. I've got this Michael Nicholson thing back in my brain, man. A couple of wee things with this guy because of the things that have been happening. Do you think Michael Nicholson helps Brendan Rodgers, or do you think he's a hindrance?
Well, from all that we know as the outsiders, he's helping Brendan, because Brendan must have came to him and said, right, the guy Paul Tisdale, that he's brought in as director of football operations, Brendan would direct, that's Brendan's man, you know what I mean? Right. He's put him in there. Totally, I'll give, do you want to swap Michael Nicholson for Peter Lawwell again, who's interfering in transfers and quibbling over fucking 50 grand here and there? Michael Nicholson, for me, has done better for Brendan the second time around with the money, and under Michael Nicholson we spent 20 million on 2 players. But do you think that would have happened under Peter Lawwell? Yeah. But Peter Lawwell's still got a hand in all of that stuff, surely, man. He's always there.
I'm a bit biased because my missus used to work with Michael Nicholson, and I've met him twice. And he's got the club at heart. He's an absolute diehard.
Exactly. I've met him twice.
From one celebrity to another.
He thinks he's talking to Eric Cantona.
I know, he thinks Cantona.
His French was good. But he still owes me a bottle of wine.
I'm saying Michael Nicholson thinks Robert said it's Cantona, that's how he's talking to him.
Right. I thought you were saying Robert thinks he's Eric Cantona, he's lapped from one celebrity to another.
No, I think he's good. I think I agree with Brian. If there's money there, I think his intentions is to do the best for the club.
And to maybe comment on your point about that Peter Lawwell will still have his hand in there. Peter Lawwell was the chairman, obviously, but in terms of the role, if you were CEO, would you want somebody interfering in your business? You'd be like, hold on a minute, there's boundaries here. So, but I think he's done well. You know what I mean? He's we've spent 20 million on Barrafield. We've done, there's been a lot of infrastructure things that have helped with the club. I think it's to do with the transfers. We'll see how the transfer window pans out.
That was my point next. I was just going to say, do you think, because I know we did spend big last year, and that's my thing. You've read my script and all. That's my thing with the I can't remember what I was going to say. Talking about transfers, the last year we spent a lot of money, man. Celtic don't normally do that, right? They've went out and spent 20 million really in 2 players. That's a lot of money. And I know they're raking money in, right? And they've still got money coming in for players they sold 4 years ago. That's really good business acumen, right? They've done really, really well. They've got money. Even last year they were getting rid of players who weren't even playing for us anymore. Like who's a wee left back when he went to Brazil, the Argentine boy. Bernabé sold him for a few million. And there was meant to be
Brazil.
Aye, Lagerbielke was meant to be going. Don't think that's happening anymore. But I think there's even our fringe players we're still getting decent money for. But do you think they'll go and do it again this year? Because it looks like so far we're back to the old school where you go and you pick up a freebie for Fulham or whatever we're going to pay $300,000 and then get somebody. And it's a good bit of business for Negrin, right? It is a good bit of business, but you're talking about one and a half million. Do you think that's where we're back to, or do you think if Rodgers has spotted a player, look, I want him and he's 12 million, go and get him? Do you think we would do it?
Yeah, 100%. Because we're bringing in the money. The club is cash rich. If I'm Brendan Rodgers, I'm no fond for that project player. You know what I mean? I brought you in 29. Well, no him. Ange Postecoglou brought in O'Reilly, but we've made a lot of money. If you can say, right, this is what, if you want me, if I've been given targets from you as the executive team, you must do this. Then you need to provide me with the tools to do that. I think we will. And like I'm seeing a thing about Majovski. He's struggled at Girona. The guy used to play for Aberdeen. Yeah. We could get him for £5 million. So I think we will. I think we will go. It might just be early doors because there's players. Club World Cups and all that, and there's players all over the place, so it takes a bit of time. When is it open to the end of August, kind of start of September?
A few months, there's a few months this time.
But don't get me wrong, I know we start Champions League qualifiers in about 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks.
That's the point. You can't wait to the end of it. What do you think?
There's a provisional squad for the Champions League qualifiers, so you can register a couple of players there, then change it when it gets to the draw.
I think you get 2
after. Don't want to be leaving it that late.
Aye.
Every season, how many players do you need or want? So to answer Mark's question, like if there's averaging 3 players.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at last time you laugh. When does it begin? When does it end?
It's true. Because you think you're not going to spend. See, if you need 3 key players, you're not going to spend 8 million per player, are you? Or is that the fans' expectation?
Well, no. If you're looking for a certain quality of player, right, and I know 8 million doesn't guarantee you that kind of player, I would want us to spend that money now. See, now we've done it, I would want Celtic.
Well, you've opened the gates.
I know, but I don't want us to go back into the market of £2 million players unless it's like the Negrin signing. That's a quality player. We've done well there. He's got 6 months left. He's a Swedish international, good player. I don't want us to go and start spending 10 million and bring 5 players in like we did with Yang and all of the boys, Tilio and all that. I think the days have to be gone. They have to be gone because it's like scattergun.
Aye, that was actually Peter Lawwell's boy, wasn't it? Mark Lawwell. Was he no head of recruitment for a season? And
I think so,
remember Nicky Hammond? Nicky Hammond was the same. That was a disaster.
Lee Congerton and all these characters.
Disaster area.
So I moved.
Sorry, Brian.
Say that again.
Sorry, I was just talking to Brian. On you go, Brian.
No, just hopefully we do start kind of going up a level because we're making the money back on the players. You know what I mean? But instead of buying someone for 2 and selling them for 10, you buy them for 10, you sell them for 30. That's kind of our level now.
That's your niche now.
And what it does for me is, see if you're going and spending, and I know I know people will use Ida and Engels and say, oh, it's not what. They are good players, right? They are good players, and hopefully they become even better this year and shut a few people up. If you spend 8 million on a player who has been playing in the Champions League and has got a bit of quality, they come into the team and they fit straight away almost. You need a Champions League ready player if you want to compete in the Champions League. You can't go and spend 2 million a 22-year-old and hopefully in 3 years' time they're actually ready to play in the Champions League. I think, like you're saying, if we need 3 players and if we don't sell many players and we go and sign 3 players, you have to be spending decent amount of money. You've got to do your homework, make sure that they're right players. Internationals, they fit the mould of young enough to sell on, but ready to go. 25-year-old, I think 25's you've been in the game long enough. You know what you're doing, and there's resale value at the end.
Yeah, great shout.
I agree.
Great shout. Hopefully it works out, man. But it's always worrying when you're, because of the historical transfer windows that we've had. You're like, who is these guys? You know what I mean? And the last day you get a loan deal for some 35-year-old guy that used to support Celtic. You know what I mean? But hopefully it'll be. Don't get me wrong. Robbie Keane was phenomenal. You know what I mean? But Roy Keane maybe not so much. But
Bellamy, do you remember Bellamy?
Bellamy, what a player, what a season he had and all.
He does not deserve Helicopter Sunday. Craig Bellamy did not deserve Helicopter Sunday. He deserved to win a title for that goal at Ibrox alone. We've done the hard one. We beat them, and then I think we get beat off of Hearts, wasn't it? The next week I'll be drew off of Hearts, and then the rest is history. Yeah.
Trips, I'm going to have to wrap this up because I'm going on holiday. If I've not told you before, I'm going to Ibiza in a few days and I need to go and pack my case. I'm going with the kids, but
pack a Venga bus.
All there. So just to wrap it, I think if we spend decent amount of money and we bring in 3 or 4 players, Brendan gets what he wants and we have a good season in the Champions League, I think there's a chance he might actually put pen to paper. If not, I think he's Offski. My Offski.
Brilliant. Right, beautiful people. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Absolute pleasure.
See you in the next one, boys.
Thank you.
Bye.